In this video, I want to talk about what do I need to run Unifi Network. So the first question to ask is, what is Unifi Network? Unifi Network is a collection of security appliances, access points and switches that are all part of the Ubiquiti Unifi range. They're all managed and controlled by one central controller called the Unifi Cloud Controller. This is a free piece of software that can be downloaded, or you can have it pre-installed on the device on something like the Cloud Key or the UDM and the UDM Pro. So I want to step you through a few of the things that you'll need to create this Unifi network. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the Cloud Controller. This is probably one of the key decisions that you're going to make at the start of setting up a Unifi network. The software is available on a mobile phone and to download on your computer. Both of those are free and the simplest starting point, but you do need to make some decisions at the outset. Those decisions revolve around whether you need to offer guest services. What are guest services? Well, in a business or a hotel or something like that, you might want to have a guest portal where people log on with a voucher or with a different set of credentials, maybe even integrated with Facebook. If you need to do that, then the PC or the computer that you install the free controller software on needs to be running 24 hours a day. As a result, you may decide that you want to use the Cloud Key or the UDM Pro, which we'll talk about in a moment. If you only need to set the software up, or the devices up once and you don't think you're going to make many changes, then I would suggest the mobile app or the free software to be downloaded on your computer. Please do aware there is a little bit of understanding of networks that you need to get this stuff set up. It isn't quite point and shoot. It isn't quite plug and play. It is fairly straightforward, and there are plenty of videos on how to get it running, but it does take a little bit of knowledge to get it going to start with. So what are the options that we talk through? You're going to have either set it up on your mobile phone. This is maybe one of the simplest, easiest ways to do. Adopt the equipment to your phone, and then you can set it up. It will be adopted and remembered on this phone. If you wipe it or you move house and you leave the equipment, they will have to factory default everything to be able to get control of it again. The next option is the free software on your computer. Download it for Mac, Linux or Windows. This software you power up. You probably need to turn the firewall off on your device while you're running it. Each device, the access point or switch, will broadcast a hello to it, and it will appear waiting to be what's called adopted. You can then add them and do all of the config that you need. Again, it is linked to the computer you install it on. So if you're going to come back and need to make changes and you no longer have that laptop, your only option, if you've not created a backup, will be to factory reset everything and set your network up from scratch. Like I said, you do need that PC to be running all of the time if you want to add guest services or log in from Facebook and those type of options, or keep ongoing monitoring. So those are the two free starting points, easy to get going on. The next thing we look at in the management is what's called the Cloud Controller. So I've got one here. This is the Cloud Key. This is the Gen 2 Plus. They're pretty difficult to find at the moment, any of the cloud controllers, so this is the one that we've got. This has got an inbuilt hard drive, so I did mention as part of your decision-making process, if you think you may run the Ubiquiti cameras at a later stage, then you will need to make a choice to either use the Cloud Key Gen 2 Plus or the UDM Pro, which is here, so I'll show you that in a little bit. All right, because these have hard drives in them and can therefore store the data from your cameras. But otherwise, if you're just using the network, but you want to run it all of the time, or don't want to have to worry about installing it on a specific computer or phone, then the Cloud Key and Gen 2 and the Gen 2 Plus are a good starting point, because these are the cloud controller already loaded on a mini computer. This one's powered by PoE, so connect it to a PoE switch to be powered, or USB-C. And obviously that's going to keep all of your data. The great thing by doing this, it's on 24 hours a day, and you can remotely access it over the internet to monitor or make changes. So there's the Cloud Key Gen 2 Plus, or something like this. This is the UDM Pro. This has an advantage, is that it's got the security suite in it as well. It has a hard drive that you could put in it, so it can do recording, the same as the CloudKey Gen 2. This has got a 1 terabyte upgradable hard drive in it. But again, this is a great little device, a small network switch in there as well. So really that's the first thing to consider, the software, or whether you're going to have the software preloaded on a CloudKey or the UDM. There's a smaller thing called the UDM, which looks a bit like a TARDIS cylinder, and that has the software running on it as well. It won't do the cameras, but it will run the software for you. So that's the first thing to consider when you're setting up Unifi Network. So the next thing, and probably the most common reason why people are looking at Unifi Network, is for the wireless access points. So we've got a few different ones here, and you're going to mix and match these to what work. This is the in-wall. It's a small form factor wireless access point that's got 2 Ethernet ports out the back, and one in, out the bottom and one in the back there for you. So great for extending wireless out to another location. This one here is the U6 Lite. It's the new wireless 6 access point. Or we've got something even like this, which is the Flex HD, which is about the size of a Coke can, sits on a table or in your lounge room or whatever, and doesn't look too imposing and will give wireless in that location. The idea here is you mix and match access points that work. There are access points that are available for outdoor or indoor, and every situation that you want. The key thing to remember here though is that wireless is about density, not distance. This is not trying to find one ultimately ultra powered access point. It's about putting more into your property than less. We want to try and make sure that all devices are a similar distance away from an access point. If we have devices that are a long way away, those will often draw down the speed for everybody else that are connected to the same access point. So for instance, if you are a 2-story house, at minimum we'd recommend 1 access point on each floor. If you've got an outside area, then put an AC Mesh or an AC Mesh Pro on the outside as well, so that again the devices that are outside are closer to an access point. For all of the Ubiquiti range, they are recommended to be Ethernet cabled together. There are some options to do a wireless uplink. So for instance, a U6, this is the Flex HD, could talk to a U6 Lite. This could have no Ethernet cable. It'll still need to get power to it. So you're going to need a PoE injector or an Ethernet cable to it to provide power, but it could wirelessly uplink to this device and repeat the wireless signal. It does work. Just remember that you probably halve your throughput for each time you do that. So I would suggest building the most stable network if you can with Unifi. It's best to Ethernet cable each device together. So this step is all about choosing the right access point for your environment. What speed do I need? What ports do I need? Where is it situated, inside or outside? And then you pick, there's a wide range, AC Pro, Nano HD, U6 long range, in-wall HD, Flex HD, and the list goes on. You mix and match the devices together that you need to create your ideal environment. Some will be best suited to your lounge room media area, where you're going to have more devices in that area. Get a device that can handle a greater speed. Maybe you've got a whole bunch of bedrooms and not a lot happens there from internet access. Because the computers are all downstairs. Then use an AC long range to give you good coverage, but not as big a throughput as you might need in your media room. So this section has been about choosing the right access point. So this third section is about your network switch. You don't have to have a network switch. If you only bought this solution because you wanted 1 or 2 access points, then maybe you're going to power those by PoE or by a PoE injector that sometimes comes in the box, but do check. We've got a video on our YouTube channel on how to run Power over Ethernet. If you're not sure what it is, it'll explain it there for you to help. So a network switch, what does it give us? Well, there's a flexibility. Maybe we don't have enough ports left on our router or our firewall or whatever we've connected it to, so we need to take it out to a network switch. Maybe we've got a number of access points, and so instead of having a whole bunch of these, 1 for each access point, it would be great if we just had 1 cable out to it all. That's where a network switch comes into play. This is the Ubiquiti US-8-150, 150 watt, 8 ports of PoE power. We can plug one of these ports directly into our modem or router, and then we've got 7 more ports that we can run cables out to. They can both power them and transfer data. And those cables can be up to 100 meters away. So a really useful solution to help expand your network. There are a whole bunch of options here. You can get PoE switches that can power other PoE switches. So if you have a location many meters away where you can't get mains power, but you need to run a camera or something else, then choose a switch that will allow you to power another thing, maybe a US Light 5 or something like that, or an 8 that will allow you to power onward devices, or maybe the USW Flex as another option. So this section has been about the switch, the third pillar, if you like, of Unifi Network. The fourth section of Unifi Network is definitely optional. This is the security appliance, also called the USG, Ubiquiti Security Gateway. This comes in a number of flavors. It comes in a small 3-port device. There is a rack mount 4-port device, and there is the UDM Pro, which is this model here that we talked about earlier. So what is this? It is essentially a router basic firewall. It has a subscription, or a free-based subscription to intrusion prevention signatures that will help protect your network in a basic format. It does NAT, it can do some VPN. With that added to your network, you will actually get a number of stats that might be useful. You can see what applications are running across your network. You can run some basic firewall rules to block certain packets or information running at certain times of the day. It could bring in some of the restrictions if you're using this as a family or a basic work environment that you might need to restrict the internet access. So you can buy the USG as its own device. Like I said, there's the USG and the USG Pro 4, which is a rack mount bigger device. There is also the USG that runs in the UDM. So the UDM, the Ubiquiti Dream Machine, that is the USG, a cloud controller and a wireless access point and a 4-port switch all built in together. So quite a nice little device. And then really you've got this, like I've talked about, this is the Dream Machine Pro. It's got a hard drive bay in here for video recording. It's got an 8-port switch. It's not PoE. There's a new SE version of coming this will have PoE in it. It has 2 WAN connections, and it has the ability to run Unifi Access, Unifi Network, Unifi Protect. Those are the key things that it will run. It has the inbuilt USG gateway security device, essentially the cloud key as well, all built in. So that's a great rack mount device if you want all of it together. So if we loop ourselves back to the first thing we said, choosing your software wisely. If you want an all-in-one, if you're not doing videos, if you're not using cameras later on, then the UDM could be a really good solution for you. If you're wanting to do cameras later on and you want the security device and the cloud key and a switch, then the UDM Pro, this device I mentioned here, this would be fantastic because it has all of those items built in together. All you need to buy extra is the hard drive for it. So those really are the key pillars to run Unifi Network. You have the software, which can be downloadable or on your mobile phone, or can be pre-installed on something like the Cloud Key or the UDM, the Dream Machines that we talked about. The next stage of it is you're going to be choosing your access point, mix and match. But remember, this is about density, not distance. You want to get more devices in there, more access points in there than less. Your third is going to be about how you're going to power it or get you extra network ports. So you're going to choose the right switch for your environment. And then the fourth is that what we've just been talking about, which is the optional extra. Do I want a gateway security appliance? Do I want to apply some sort of security and some visibility to the network that I have? The 4 key pillars that make Ubiquiti Network. Do head on over to our YouTube channel. You're going to find loads more box openings on wireless networking and firewallings. We've got many more what do I need to run. We've got ones there on power over Ethernet. If you want to understand a little bit more about what power over Ethernet is, if you want to know what you need to run Unifi Protect, then again, we've got a video there. So do head on over there and subscribe. I hope this has been useful.